Have you ever felt like you were being watched? Felt like there were one too many coincidences happening around you? Or just maybe like the world seemed to revolve around you, of all people, for some odd reason? If you have, then you know exactly what it feels like to be Truman Burbank. The Truman Show was released in June of 1998. It stars Jim Carrey as Truman Burbank, a life insurance salesman in the town of Sea Haven. As Truman starts his day like any other, everything around him starts to unravel, and he begins to discover that the life he has led is nothing but a lie created for the enjoyment of a worldwide audience, helmed by a man named Christoph. Played by Ed Harris, Christoph adopted Truman when he was nothing more than an unwanted pregnancy. It was there that Christoph planned for Truman to be the unsuspecting star of his new reality TV show, set in a little island town run by extras and recorded live 24/7. As all of Christoph's lies become exposed, Truman desperately tries to find a way to escape his prison, fueled by the memory of his lost love, Sylvia. With every escape attempt, it becomes clear that there is no one in his life that he can trust. Not his wife Meryl, nor his best and longest running friend Marlon. Not even his own mother. Having learned his father's death was fake, Truman overcomes his fear of the ocean and makes one last attempt at escape. Not wanting him to succeed, Christoph does everything in his power to capsize his boat, only to give in to his humanity at the last second, sparing Truman's life. Now, at the edge of the dome, Truman finds the door to the real world. It's here that Christoph speaks to Truman for the very first time, trying to convince him to stay and continue to live in the idyllic world he created just for him. Turning towards him, Truman says his final goodbye, and as he walks into the darkness of the unknown, the world cheers and his life begins anew. The movie released to relative success, stumbling a bit opening weekend to $31,542,121 to grossing about $125,618,201 in the US. Budgeted at about $60 million, The Truman Show grossed $264,118,201 worldwide. As of now, it sits with a 90 Metacritic score and an 8.2 IMDb user rating. The Truman Show quickly became one of my favorite movies. But for all the analyses I've seen on it, I've yet to see one that actually talks about how The Truman Show touches on globalization. The Truman Show exemplifies globalization in both positive and negative ways. But before we dive into that, we first have to know, what does globalization mean? Globalization is defined by the Oxford Dictionary as the increasing worldwide integration of economic, cultural, political, religious, and social systems. The Truman Show has brought the entire world together in this shared love of Truman. We see examples of many people staying tuned in from different cultures to even different generations.
We find many viewers leave him on all night for comfort.
Not only has the show itself created this worldwide community, but the set itself has become a new world wonder, being equated to the Great Wall of China itself.
Coming to you now from Sea Haven Island, enclosed in the largest studio ever constructed, and along with the Great Wall of China, one of only two man-made structures visible from space.
While global connectivity is certainly a positive, globalization isn't always so. But now we get into the negatives of globalization. The ways companies and corporations like Christoph's control the minds of the public. Ways like product placement and media manipulation. One of the many ways that the show is able to function is through its use of product placement and merchandising. During an interview, Christoph says,
That's correct.
The show has generated enormous revenues now equivalent to the gross national product of a small country.
People forget it takes the population of an entire country to keep the show running.
Since the show is on 24 hours a day without commercial interruption, all those staggering revenues are generated by product placement.
That's true. Everything on the show is for sale, from the actors' wardrobe, food products, to the very homes they live in.
And, of course, all of it available in the Truman catalog.
And we get to see these examples of product placement throughout the movie.
Look what I got free at the checkout. It's a Chef's Pal. It's a dicer, grater, peeler, all in one. Never needs sharpening, dishwasher safe.
That is a beer.
You know, we really ought to throw out that mower. Get one of those new elk rotaries. Why don't you let me fix you some of this new Mococo drink? All natural cocoa beans from the upper slopes of Mountain Nicaragua, no artificial sweeteners.
Product placement and merchandising in and of itself isn't bad. Annoying? Perhaps. But not inherently bad. What is bad is when the entire world demands those products. This leads to shipping pollution caused by cars, planes, and ships, let alone the pollution it takes the factories and distribution plants to make and distribute these products. And the consequences of some of these products are bigger than even that. If we look back at what Meryl said in her ad read for Mocococo, she said,
Why don't you let me fix you some of this new Mococo drink? All natural cocoa beans from the upper slopes of Mountain Nicaragua, no artificial sweeteners.
cocoa beans from the upper slopes of Mount Nicaragua, meaning that these beans were picked, packed, and shipped by indigenous workers. In the article addressing challenges in West African cocoa farming, Siriki Dekite writes about the low wages these farmers receive for the cocoa they grow. Just 3 to 6% of the retail price of a chocolate bar. Not only that, but their work is subject to drought, pest, and disease that could completely ruin their harvest. This is without even mentioning the deforestation that could completely wipe out their farms. An even more complicated issue is the child labor that exists on these farms. The site MakeChocolateFair.org has an article outlining just why this problem exists and why it's so hard to deal with. It all goes back to the low income of farmers. Without the ability to pay their workers, farmers have to resort to cheap child labor. It also doesn't help that these communities do not have access to stable education, drinking water, or community management. According to the article, there are over 2 million children working on cocoa plantations in Ghana and Ivory Coast alone. And a quarter of all children aged 5 to 17 who live in cocoa growing regions are involved in cocoa production. This all culminates into poor working conditions where they are subject to harsh pesticides, dangerous tools, and excessively long working hours. And it doesn't just stop here. When I first watched The Truman Show, and I heard Christoph say that everything on the show can be bought, right down to the houses that they live in, I thought that it actually meant real estate. It was only after rewatching that I realized what he really meant, that they sold toy models of the houses, like the one you see the little girl playing in the clip. With the production of these toys, we potentially come back to child labor and poor working conditions, except this time it's in a factory instead of a farm. The most effective way Christoph kept Truman in Sea Haven was through manipulation. As a child, Christoph implanted a fear of the ocean into Truman by faking the death of his father at sea.
I don't like the look of that weather, son. I think we should head back.
Oh, no, Dad, not yet.
No, come on,
Just
we
a
should
bit
go back.
farther,
Son, listen.
Please, please.
Okay.
As Truman grew up, we were forced to manufacture ways to keep him on the island.
I'd like to be an explorer, like the Great Magellan.
Oh, you're too late. There's really nothing left to explore.
Finally, I came up with the concept of Kirk's drowning.
Most effective. Truman's been terrified of the water ever since.
Not only did Christoph manipulate Truman's childhood, but he also manipulated his adulthood through posters, radio, traffic, and having the extras sabotage him.
What are you doing? Truman!
Where shall we go? Where shall we
Truman, where are we
I
going?
don't really know. I guess I'm being spontaneous. Somebody help me! I'm being spontaneous!
Truman!
Forget Fiji. Can't very well drive to Fiji, can we? What about Atlantic City?
Oh, no, you hate to gamble.
That's right, I do, don't I?
So why would you want to go there?
Because I never have. That's why people go places, isn't it?
Truman? Truman, I think I'm gonna throw up.
Me too! Locked at every turn. Beautifully synchronized, don't you agree?
You're blaming me for the traffic?
Should I?
I'm sorry to keep you.
Oh, that's okay.
How can I help?
I would like to book a flight to Fiji.
When would you like to leave?
Today.
I'm sorry, I don't have anything for at least a month.
A month?
It's the busy season. You want to book the flight?
Everybody off. We've got a problem.
I'm sorry, son.
Like Christoph, the media and those in power often use manipulation to keep their status quo. We see it in national propaganda and in the people we follow and news channels we listen to. They subliminally mess with our heads.
We present the enduring, much-loved classic, Show Me the Way to Go Home. A hymn of praise to small-town life where we learn that you don't have to leave home to discover what the world's all about and that no one is poor who has friends.
And then they take what isn't theirs. One of my favorite aspects of The Truman Show was its world building. In a lot of scenes, you get to see just how the public interacts with Truman, not just through the show or the call-in interviews, but through his merchandising and the chains that you see. But that got me thinking, how does his name work? What kind of copyright or trademarks does Christoph and his company or corporation have? Let's start off by defining our terms. A trademark is defined as any word, phrase, symbol, design, or any combination of these that identifies your goods or services. This definition comes from the United States Patent and Trademark Office. While a trademark doesn't mean you own whatever it is you trademarked, it does let you control how it's used, and your trademark rights only grow stronger when it becomes a registered trademark. A copyright, on the other hand, is a type of intellectual property that protects original works of authorship as soon as an author fixes the work in a tangible form of expression. Many things can be subject to copyright, but things like titles, names, short phrases, and slogans can never be copyrighted. Copyright only protects expression, never ideas. Copyright laws give the owner and whoever the owner chooses the right to reproduce, distribute copies, display, and perform the works they have copyrighted. In terms of Truman's name, it must default to a trademark, as names cannot be copyrighted. That is why so many different products can display his likeness and image. The products could be subject to legal action, however, if they misrepresent the corporation's interest or branding, assuming a third party created the products. The show itself would fall under copyright law, as Christof and his corporation came up with the idea of The Truman Show. They would also own any archive footage and could distribute that footage however they please, like in the clip where they mentioned the Greatest Moments DVD box set.
Why didn't you just follow her to Fiji? His mother got sick, really sick. He couldn't leave her. He's kind. Maybe he's too kind. I can't believe he married Farrell on the rebounds.
Excuse me. Come on, Sarah. You've already got this in the greatest hits tape.
Can I borrow that?
Oh, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
He's entertained us, made us laugh, made us cry, and made us everything in between. And now, with this exclusive TV offer, you can experience all 87 seasons anytime, anywhere, ensuring you'll home many more great mornings, afternoons, evenings, and nights. You heard that right. The Truman Show Seasons 1 through 87 are available to watch with this can't-miss DVD collection. Over 762,626 glorious hours of the show that delighted generation after generation after generation after generation after generation after generation. And many more to come. Experience your favorite moments like watching a baby screech for hours on end, toddler Truman throwing spit-up food at his parents, failing to write basic letters, first time using curse words, can we say that on TV, homework, the new me, settling for community college, job application, office work, creepy magazine collecting. Watch these classic episodes over and over again for the small fee of 2 payments of $50 per each of the 87 seasons. Don't forget, this is a TV exclusive offer, so make sure to call the number on screen so you can get ready for Baby Truman, Tales from Truman Town, Kids React to The Truman Show, Truman 6000, Truman Bot, The True Woman Show.
A great example of copyright usage to the benefit of corporations is in Verdana Shiva's book, Stolen Harvest. In it, she writes how companies and corporations like Monsanto use their power to copyright seeds from other countries, specifically India in this case, in order to genetically engineer the seeds and overcharge the local farmers. Not only could these genetically engineered plants pose a serious ecological risk, they are removing domestic plants from the area and trying to push imported and genetically modified seeds that clash with the local diets, customs, and culture. Not only that, but industrial fishing has also come to threaten the local marine life, and exports on meat have hurt livestock numbers and diversity. With the World Trade Organization standing behind these monopolies, the locals and just about anyone else are near powerless to stop them.
We accept the reality of the world with which we're presented. It's as simple as that.
Even after watching this movie as often as I have, I'm still entranced by that quote. What do we do when our guiding light falls? Do we sit still and wait for someone to tell us where to go? Or do we take a stand and walk the path that we believe in? I like to think I know what I would do. What would you choose? Thank you for watching. And
In case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.